President Trump delivering a partisan address to hundreds of America's top military officials at a Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia yesterday. He spoke for over an hour, touching on a number of topics from conflicts overseas to wars he claims he's stopped. Trump also recounted familiar partisan complaints about President Biden, as well as the 2020 election he lost, to what he didn't like about how his predecessors walked downstairs, to making Canada the 51st state, really playing the hits. He also discussed that he told Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to use American cities as training grounds for the military.
The Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape, too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid.
I want to bring in staff writer at The Atlantic covering national security and the Defense Department, Nancy Youssef. So, Nancy, there were a lot of questions in the lead up to this of why is Pete Hegseth calling all of these generals back to Washington from their posts? There's operational security concerns. There were concerns about if they were getting fired, if there would be some kind of a loyalty oath that they had to sign. Ultimately, this probably could have been an email, which would be the joke, except for the way that the president is breaking with so many norms by addressing these leaders and giving such a partisan speech. What was your takeaway? And then what were these military officials telling you?
So it could have been an email. It also could have been Hegseth's book that he put out, War on Warriors. I mean, everything that was touched on in that speech was part of his book. And so I think the big focus for the secretary was optics, how generals look. And I think perhaps this meeting was an optic one. The idea of having generals in the room, the huge American flag backdrop. And so this seemed to be the secretary sort of trying to show through optics his ability to lead, his vision for the United States military in a very unconventional form. We haven't seen this kind of gathering throughout 20 years of the war on terror. It really was unprecedented.
And I think maybe if it was just Hegseth doing this, it wouldn't have raised as many alarm bells. But the fact that the president came in, gave that address, and the headline on your story is that there's hundreds of generals try to keep a straight face. But at the same time, when he's talking about American cities being a training ground for the military, in this environment, knowing the deep concerns that states and other entities have about this incursion of the federal government, what does that say? I mean, what were these officials telling you after they left or even going in?
Well, as you noted, they were really nervous in the run-up to it because they didn't know what was going to happen. And the president's speech was announced after Hegseth's speech. So they got the email saying that they were summoned to the Quantico, and that after that they learned that the president would be speaking there. And I think a lot of the generals tried to treat this as an opportunity to show that the military remained apolitical. You'll remember in June that the president went to Fort Bragg and you had lower-ranking troops cheering, hooting, hollering, and even wearing merchandise, Trump merchandise, over their uniforms. So I think a lot of them saw this as their chance to say, we are apolitical, and while we might not want to be here and be hearing these sort of very partisan comments, this is our way to show the force that this is the expectation and how you behave when you find yourself in this situation, which increasingly might happen, as we've seen under this administration. Yeah.